Welcome. If you're new here, my name's Dan, and this is Just a Printer. Today, I'm going to be talking about the IQ-501 and what I think of it. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you've known that I've kind of been a naysayer back when I reviewed the that 3070 a year ago. So I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons. But first, I got to get ready for the day. Part of the reason that I love the IQ-501 is the front to back registration, which is automatic. So I just put in here 12.5 by 19. It's just an odd page size. So we're gonna recall this. I have it saved in here somewhere. I think it's down here towards the bottom. Oh, there it is. 12.5 by 19. Okay. So that's all programmed in there. Now, I could do the both sides adjustment here, but then if I restart the machine, it's going to lose that information. So if I hit paper setting, I select the tray, change set, both sides, auto measure. I turn this periodical adjustment off because if for some reason there's dirt on the lens, it'll stop your print job if it doesn't go through. So I turn that off so it won't do the adjustment during a job that's printing. But so keep that off, go to print mode. Oh wait. I need to do a custom, there we are. So, I needed to set my custom paper size, then go, oh, well, I'm all messed up now. Both sides, auto, print, and this is automatically going to do the front to back adjustment. That saves so much time because that means the first sheet that comes out of here when I print a job is going to be absolutely perfect. And as long as your paper doesn't vary in length or width that you cut down and you're printing on, it's not going to change for this job. Not at all. And I'm going to be printing thousands of sheets of paper. So this is what comes out. It's just a sheet of paper with a line on both sides. And with that information, it backs it up perfect. So then all I have to do is register, overwrite, and then that saves it on top of the sheet or the setting in there, and that's good forever. After restart, it's going to save that information. So you got to make sure if you want to save the information, you do it through here and not the both sides. So the front to back registration is awesome, and when I start this up, it will be perfect. Another great thing is every morning when I turn this on, I have automatic color adjustments that are done. So I have it set up in here that package color auto adjust. It will automatically figure out the correct density. It'll print a few sheets and measure the density on that, and then make adjustments so that the density is pretty much always the same on here. That really saves a good bit of time too. However, I don't know that it's necessary yet because actually this morning threw an error code because it couldn't make that adjustment. So I stopped that adjustment and then just started printing and it was fine. It was telling me that my yellow developer, there's a problem with that, which is probably getting time to replace that. But by stopping that, I'll be able to keep running. It looks fine. So again, automation is not always flawless. So, well, I'll talk about that more later. You're gonna have to take my word for it, but that's backed up perfectly. That right there, that is the enemy of this machine. So I've left the back of this open, and the reason I leave it open is because just about every day I need to wipe down the glass where the scanning devices are that read the top and bottom. I find that a little bit of alcohol on a lint-free cloth works fine, and you really just have to wipe it down once, and then the other side. In order to do that, you have to pull the front open. I find that there's a long plastic wand that has a cleaner on it, and I find that this really doesn't do the best job. So this is why I've been cleaning it out the back, and it works every time. Now I know that leaving this open could potentially be a reason that there is more dust in there. So I really just need to keep everything as clean as possible. I should probably run a vacuum over everything more often. But that's one downside, is that any dust on that lens is going to stop the machine from carrying out the adjustment that you're asking it to make. So this is what happens when a spot is detected. So there's two scanners. So the second one has dust. I just opened this up. But there's scanner 1 and scanner 2 here. What I do is I just open it up, and then come in the back here. Just put a little bit of alcohol on here. You can just reach and wipe. And while I have it open, I'm just going to hit the second one as well. And she should be good to go for the rest of the day. And then it'll automatically make sure that the dust is clear, and then I can continue with my calibration and printing this next job. All right, I'll basically go over now, what this machine is. So there's a scanner on the bottom here facing up, and a scanner on the top facing down. And that scans the front and back side of the sheet. And on the opposite side is a rotating, I don't even know what you'd call it, but it has a black area and then a white area. I'm assuming it rotates depending what it's doing, if it needs a white background or a black background. And then there's also a colorimeter in here that scans the center of the sheet. So there's a lot going on here, but it's basically that simple in basic terms. Now there are things you can do to lower the amount of dust, and I didn't do it, but there are certain vents in here that Konica put out a paper about to tape those off. That will, I guess, get better results and try and keep those lenses clean on the scanners. So I didn't do that, but I should do that. I should also probably just totally clean this thing out, because there's a lot of dust in paper, and that accumulates, and any little speck of dust will throw an error on one of those two scanners. And there's also a spot here, if you go into your service adjustment here, finisher, IQ optimizer. There's several different adjustments, and there's a spot detect base adjustment. I've done that a couple times. You're supposed to clean it, and then it's supposed to, I guess, set a 0 starting point for the amount of dust on the lens. And I've done that in hopes that it would solve this problem, but it has not made much of a difference at all. I'd be interested to hear how other people deal with the spot issues of the IQ-501. I've also heard some people say that newer versions have, helped relieve that issue. That might be the case, but yeah, if you have any input, let me know. Okay, along with front to back registration and density adjustments, the IQ can also do the calibrating of the RIP, the controller. Let me show you that. So it's real handy. Just hit controller, calibrate. You select the tray. I want to calibrate my 12 point here that I have in tray 5 and print. Okay, so then that's just going to automatically print out, scan, and update the curves on the RIP automatically. And before, you'd have to print that out and then scan all the color bars into the RIP, so that saves a lot of time. That's real nice. So it'll do cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, and then all the densities get scanned in, and she's good to go. And just hit continue and apply those curves and you're done. Okay, I know this video is about the IQ, but I gotta take a quick second and show you how to print envelopes in any of the trays on the finisher. From the factory, you can only print envelopes in tray 5, but I found out, and a huge shout out to 2 of my viewers, that there's a dip switch that you can change to allow you to print from any 3 of these trays. Go into your utility, stop 00, stop 01, then your system, dip switch. We need to do 60, 4, and change that to on. Then we're done. And now you can print envelopes from any of these trays. That will be really handy on the longer runs. Thank you. And I should also point out, if your printer is not automatically switching to another tray with the same exact setting, let me show you how to fix that. Because I ran into that with this. For some reason it was still, I thought I changed it, but I guess I didn't. You would have to tell it to just pick from one tray. But the way I have it set up is I select number 10 envelope on the RIP, and then it'll pull from one tray. When it's empty, then it'll start the next tray. You open up the utility in user setting, system, yes, paper tray, auto tray selection. You need to make sure all these are highlighted, and it'll automatically find the paper and pull from that tray. So now we're cooking with gas. So it's going to automatically pull from tray 4 and then go to 5, and then I can fill up 4 while it's printing from 5, and this will run non-stop. Looks good. Okay, I'll try and conclude my critique by kind of listing out the good and the bad and my opinion. So the bad was the fact that a dirty lens will not allow you to use the features that the IQ comes with, and that's a bummer, because usually if that happens, if I'm in a hurry, you know, I'm not going to deal with it, or I have to stop and clean it manually. Another downside is the price of the IQ. I've been told that that will retail new for right around $12,000, and I'll touch a little bit more on whether or not I think it's worth it in just a little bit. So the good things about the IQ would be the fact that it will save time. Definitely saves time by automatically doing a calibration, doing the auto density at startup. That's all automatic, no intervention needed, and that saves time. Most likely you'll also save on paper, because when the both sides adjustment is done and everything, I just print my jobs. Always in the past, I have done a sample sheet and then verified to make sure that the front to back registration is good. But lately with this thing, I'll just start the job and, you know, and then start looking at it just in case. But the front to back registration is so top notch that I just don't even, I mean, it's basically guaranteed to be perfect. Another good thing about the IQ is if you are on a service contract, it would probably save you clicks as well. However, doing the adjustments generates some clicks, so that's probably debatable. For me, if I had to spend the $12,000, I wouldn't be buying it. And it is very convenient, and it's very nice to have the features, but like I said before, this box just by itself is very consistent and reliable, and as long as you have a good operator, well, not to say that I'm a good operator, but as long as you're doing the maintenance and checking the output and you have good paper, the consistency is going to be there or pretty close. And generally speaking, my customers are not as picky as me, meaning I'm going to be far more critical on the color and quality of a print than my customer. So as long as I'm happy, 99% of the time, my customer is going to be happy. So it's really complicated because I wouldn't pay full price for it, but I tell you the truth, if it wasn't here, I would probably miss it. It's nice to have. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully that was useful if you're considering an IQ. Hopefully you learned something. I am not formally trained on that, so I probably missed a lot of stuff, but now that I've run it for several months here, you know, I feel like I have a better handle of what's going on. So thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.